We can move on, though, until Adam gets here to the big boys of college football. And really the big story this week is Jameis Winston suspended for a quarter or a half? Half. He's suspended for the first half of their game this weekend for yelling the now famous Vine statement that I obviously cannot repeat on here, but it is very vulgar. Just go on Vine scroll through a little bit, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
I think I searched Jameis Winston obscenity, and it brought the first story. It had like tweets of all the people that were in the union when it happened, and I didn't know what he said, and then I read it. I'm going like, what an idiot.
Yeah, he really is stupid. But also, if you want to find out more about that statement, you can just go on WorldStar. I had to give my little plug for for the hood people out there. WorldStar every day. WorldStarHipHop.com. Y'all may not know about WorldStar.
Oh no, I know WorldStar.
I know WorldStar. About some WorldStar.
I do.
I
mean,
that went over my head.
I'm not quite a frequent visitor, but I like to check up a few times. Especially if it's a big video, I'll go on WorldStar for that.
Yeah, I go there about once a day. Just
really? No, I'm more like once a week.
Matter of fact, I need to go on there. They got Flashback Friday with the music videos. So I need to watch that when I get back when we're done with this.
Well, we had some cream going on earlier, some Wu-Tang.
We did.
Earlier this morning.
We did. Cash rules everything around me.
Cream.
Get the money.
Dollar bill, y'all.
Uh-huh.
So we're gonna try and bring this back to being serious, not about some WorldStar or some rap. Ryan, we'll get you jumped in on this one. What do you think has to be done with Jameis Winston? The guy can't seem to stay out of trouble, and he's the Heisman Trophy winner.
I think a full game would have been better. I can see why Florida State wants a half game because they're playing Clemson, who is ranked, and you just don't know what you're going to get from a ranked team, even though they're at home. But if it was real world, gosh, he would. Okay, for all if he was in real world, if he was like one of us, we would at least see probation, community service hours. Maybe spent a night or two in jail if it was over on the weekend. We would have at least seen that. He's getting special privilege, and that's my whole thing. What's going on right now with the NCAA, with the NFL, is that they're getting all-star treatment, and that's where I think where fans and all that are getting upset. I've seen stories of people like in the Atlantic City area that were never even given the opportunity that Ray Rice has for that pre-treatment.
Yeah.
And I think that's wrong. But with Jameis, if I was a coach, 2 games. This is his 5th incident.
Yeah.
And what he said after the accusations he had last year, and now that they're pressing forward and the woman is maybe even wanting to come to press charges, to make that statement and the situation you've been in, you're an idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't, because like he's immature. I'm sorry, but you're Division 1A Heisman. You need to step up, just like Johnny Football won the Heisman. He's an idiot for what he's done.
I don't think his is as bad as Jameis Winston.
No, not as bad.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything criminally.
Yeah.
He has. There has been no charges for Johnny Manziel. Has there been some
NCAA violations?
NCAA violations or like photos of him going like, okay,
yeah.
he might be doing something, but no charges have been made, and that's the big thing. And that's my opinion. He's an idiot. 2 games at least. I don't know what what those 2 games would be. Of course, it would be Clemson, but I mean, they have to do something to get to him, because even though this is his last year, and Mel Kiper has him going down to 25th. From 3rd to 25th, and goes like, good, because after what's going on in the NFL, there's a lot of teams going like, do I want to touch that? Because if he's doing this in college, when he gets some money in his hands, he might might feel like he's more invincible and might be a troublemaker down the road even more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. He is an idiot, and to yell out something like that, like you said, when you have rape allegations against you, shows a real level of insensitivity. Excuse me, let me get that word out properly. It shows a real level of that. It's just stupid. I would like to see him sit out at least for sure this whole game. Like you said, Ryan, I'm not sure who they play next after this, but this being an ACC game and Clemson also being ranked, I think it would be nice for him to sit. I've never been a fan of sitting players out for a half. I feel like that's stupid. Like, either sit them the whole game or just let them play. Like, what is a half really going to do? And even if you had him sit out the whole game, he probably wouldn't care. I mean, he knows he's going to the NFL after this, and we've seen him just do a whole lot of dumb stuff. I'm not a fan of his personally, just from the off-the-field actions. I remember he basically his timeline runs the concurrence with our C4 Sports timeline. I remember his first game versus Pittsburgh when I never knew who he was, and then he killed Pittsburgh his first game in college last year, and we was talking about him from that point on. And it seemed like, okay, this is a nice player, somebody to watch out for, but all the stupidity he has associated with him, I don't have no reason to respect that dude. He's really just an idiot, and I wish he'd stay out of trouble because I'm tired of hearing about him.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is more than just Jameis Winston. I was kind of talking to you, Darius, before the show a little bit about it. I think it kind of reflects our culture because he just seems like a kid who was always the best athlete and nobody ever told him no his whole life. He always got what he wanted. And it comes back to, I think the example of that is in the preseason for Florida State. Jimbo Fisher, the head coach for the Seminoles, kicked a defensive back off the field because he went too hard in practice and accidentally pushed a player over who knocked Jameis Winston over, and he got kicked off the field for knocking over Jameis Winston in training camp or whatever it was. And it's just stuff like that. The guy's gotten superstar treatment his whole life. Everybody wants to be his friend. Everybody wants to hold his hand. Oh, everybody's a yes man. That's what a problem with a lot of athletes, I think. We're going to talk a little bit more about this in the next segment when we talk NFL, but everybody around these guys are yes men. That's all they want is guys who are going to tell them yes, and that's what gets them into trouble is they don't have anybody there to kind of kick them in the butt to be like, no, that's not a good decision. You even saw it with LeBron. He had his childhood friends around him. That led to the decision, and he was like, oh, wait, that was not a good idea, and he got rid of all the yes men. I think a lot of people need to do stuff like that because it leads to these bad decisions.
And I remember the defensive player being kicked off because first I heard it was on Mike and Mike in the morning, and you have Golick, who's a good guy. If you want to know about football, Golick's played college, and he goes like, back in my day, that defensive player would have been praised, because there was none. They had the red because like if you had a line, you couldn't seriously injure him, but give him a push. Tell him goes like, hey, you need to release that ball a little bit sooner. Because like. Yeah, and I think it's how kids are raised right now.
I agree.
Of where the parents are at right now. I was getting my hair cut done today, and the person cutting my hair, I know the family, and her son plays for Macomb High School, and I found for soccer, and the coach got fired because of an incident between players, and the players were okay with it, but they called it hazing.
Really?
And he got fired because like the parents were complaining because their little freshman, sophomore kids weren't playing, and I'm going
my God.
That's kind of with the culture.
Yeah.
Because like these young, our generation.
Yeah.
I mean, between us and our parents' generation, they were saying yes. A good swat in the butt would be good for what's going on right now.
Well, I've seen there was an interesting thing that ran, I want to say almost a year ago, on Outside the Lines about this very subject and our generation of the modern-day student-athlete and why you see so many problems like this. It's kind of it goes back to what's wrong with our generation. Everybody has their own opinion. My opinion on our generation is we're all entitled. Everybody thinks they're owed stuff, then they don't have to earn it. And that's what you're seeing from these college athletes. It's not just the yes men. It's the social media. Everybody's holding their hand. We have our phones. It's the sense of entitlement our generation has, and we have the brand new, unprecedented era of what they called on Outside the Lines the helicopter parents. With cell phones and modern technology, these kids are in constant contact with their parents. So the the dad who was yelling at the coaches from the sideline, and even high school, but like, Pee Wee football, you got the dad like, oh, put my son in, oh, what are you doing, ref? It's some dad who thinks he knows everything in the stands. He's now there at college. The kid's not playing. He's going to call up the coach and on his cell phone or whatever it may be, even Skype or whatever, and you got they called it the helicopter parents, because the kids have a problem. Back in the day, even 5-10 years ago, they couldn't. They got to be a man and stick it out. You don't have your mommy or daddy to go run and cry to, Exactly. But now with social media and smartphones, you can go cry to mommy and daddy, and they can get into immediate contact with the coach, and it's just like high school or Pee Wee football all over again. So the sense of entitlement our generation has, and the helicopter parenting, I think, has really led to this spoiled behavior. That's the best way to put it. Is everybody's a little spoiled brat, I think, and it's kind of tough to watch now because it gives our generation a bad name, I think, and I hope not all athletes are like that.
I don't even want to characterize it. That is not the way you say that. I'm stumbling with words today. But I don't want to just give it as an identity to our generation. I just feel like in general, I've had this theory for a while, that there are more stupid people on this earth than there are smart ones. So I'm not surprised when I hear more stories about dumb idiots than I do about smart people, because that just confirms the theory that I made up for myself. There are more stupid people than there are smart ones, so dumb people are going to do dumb stuff. And then it does, but it is true what both of y'all said, that people are entitled. We know even before social media that athletes and top guys, they get preferential treatment. That's not nothing new, and it's not going to change. And it's sad though that those guys who get it, not all of them, but some of them, they can't handle that.
Yeah,
they take advantage of it, which is sad to see. But I mean, I guess that's how life goes. Just even outside of sports, people who are good in certain fields, they get preferential treatment in something. Yeah. And I mean, everybody, I guess, abuses some type of power in some way. We all abuse something, but to this level, Jameis Winston and his example, that's just all the way just crossing the line.
If I was an opposing player, I think Jameis Winston would be the guy I want to take. I don't want to say a cheap shot at, because I'm not for cheap shots or cheating, but he's the guy you want to really hit hard and just kind of knock him down a peg, I think. I mean, I don't know the guy. I just know what the media has reported. So, but from the information at my hand, he's the kind of guy that if I was an opposing player, I'd want to knock this guy down a peg, because he thinks he's on top of the world, it seems like.
And I'm going to go one more. I had Florida State winning the championship. I'm cheering against them.
You still have them winning. You can cheer against them and still have them win.
I'm going to cheer against them. That was my prediction. But with this new thing, new allegation, to me, the stuff in the past, well, I mean, we all know stealing the crab legs was true.
Yeah.
It's making me really think that something happened with the female.
You think? Well, I wouldn't doubt it.
So, and
I don't know.
I'm just saying, it just more and more is coming along. Yeah, I mean, if you're a executive next year, would you draft Jameis Winston?
Depends on what pick I had.
Yeah, and if you ask if we're an executive, that means I represent my Cowboys, and the answer is heck no. That not at all. I don't want anybody that brings more star power.
Well, if you're an executive to a team that needs
a quarterback.
If you're an executive in the first round and you need a quarterback, and of course, most likely you're going to be one of those that's in the top 10.
Right.
Would you take it, or would you wait to see if there's another quarterback that develops, or if you can get him in the second round, take him?
Well, that's why I said it depends on what pick.
Yeah.
If it's even maybe a top 10 pick, I'd say no. If I'm like the 15th pick and I'm a team that needs a quarterback, I'm probably going to take. Even if I'm a team that doesn't need him, I'm probably going to take him. Then if I don't need him, I can trade him. And if I do, I mean, the kid's got talent. He just needs to mature. He just needs to grow up. That's
why it's tough to say, because I don't think he will last to the second round, because at the end of the day, GMs, your job performance is not based on how nice your team is off the field. Like how nice they are to the public. If your guys can't play and they're the nicest guys, you're going to lose your job. And your team is going to suck. So if obviously he can play, if I need a quarterback, I probably would take him. Yeah. Now, as far as being like a coach in that situation, I probably wouldn't like that decision. But, I mean, we know front offices disagree with each other all the time anyway. But that's a good question. That's a tough scenario to think about. Because you're right, with the way the NFL is right now with all the scandals,
and
you don't really want to touch a guy like that right now.
Especially when, we'll bring it up with Goodell, with the new policy he's going to hopefully have in place by the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That could change what he has in there, and you see his background, you're going like, wow, one slip up and we could lose him for a whole season, maybe, with just one slip up, because like that policy is going to take an effect of where he's probably drafted to.
I think what my real problem is with Jameis is that the crimes he's committing are stupid, petty crimes.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying go out there and be a serial killer. I don't want nobody to be like, oh, Darius Hawkins promotes serial killers. But, I mean, stealing crab legs, getting up on a school table and yelling stuff out. Dude, first of all, you got the attention of the whole school. It's not like he needs more popularity. Crab legs, I'm pretty sure somebody in that store could have got him them legs for free. I'm pretty sure.
And
like, come on, man.
I mean, you go to Florida State and you're the Heisman Trophy winner. I think if you go to Florida State and you're the Heisman Trophy winner, you could go to the cafeteria and be like, "Yeah, I want a steak," and they'll be like, "Coming right up, sir."
Exactly. And they wouldn't even be serving steak that day.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody else in the school could get steak, but you getting preferential treatment. And he's committing dumb crimes. That's the part.
And
that
then
really
he tries to cover it. What was it? He said he forgot to pay for the crab legs. He forgot he had them. He just walked out.
And weren't they in a plastic bag?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't.
And he's like looking around because they have the videotape, and he's like looking around to see if anybody saw him.
To pay for crab legs.
Yeah.
I wish I could use that excuse. Oh, just forgot
to
pay for this TV.
Oh, I do not remember the man's name. He was the Oregon quarterback before Darren Thomas. He was a Hawaiian, kind of like Mariota is now.
Yeah,
and he always had that long towel in his back pocket like it was a tail. I forgot his name, but he got kicked off because he did the same thing. First it was weed, and they were like, all right, suspended for a game or two. Then it was like, what is it? Same kind of thing Jameis did, shoplifting. They were like, all right, you're suspended for like 4 games. That's the year they lost to, I think, Ohio State in the Rose Bowl.
He was suspended for and got kicked off.
And then they kicked him off after the Rose Bowl during the offseason because he tried to steal more stuff. It was like teammates' laptops and stuff, and they kicked him off. During the break, I'll look up the guy's name because I know who I'm talking about. I can picture him right now. He was because it went him, then Darren Thomas, and now they're at Mariota. It's just some of these guys, and I know LSU has had a problem with that. Like Tyrann Mathieu could have had a heck of a junior season there. The Honey Badger,
Jeremiah
Masoli, Masoli. Yep. That's who I was talking about from Oregon. But yeah, the Honey Badger kind of did the same thing. I think he was weed, I believe, just like multiple times, and Les Miles was kind of like, all right, enough's enough. And that's kind of what I'm saying. Same with Josh Gordon, where everybody's like, he got a year for smoking weed. It's kind of like, yeah, it might be a little excessive for smoking weed, but it's like, isn't once enough? I'll give you one time. Like, okay, once, one time, shame on me or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's like, what are you doing? You're making millions of dollars to play a game. Or in this case, you're going to be Jameis Winston. You're going to be making millions of dollars. You're the big man on campus, These could be like the best years of your life. It's like, what are you doing? It's like, I just don't get it. I really don't. As a fan of the game, it really makes me mad because I think these are guys almost who are taking advantage of the opportunity that they're given. Because I would kill to be in the opportunity they are, to be in that situation. Right.